people who love the game to be able to participate in the induction of the two newest members of the Hall of Fame, Mr. Alan Hopkins and Mr. Pat Fleming. Tonight's brief ceremony is going to allow us to pay tribute to the past inductees into the Hall of Fame, as well as to celebrate the accomplishments of these two great members of the Hall. Before we get to that, I once again want to congratulate Jeremy Jones for his victory tonight, 2008 GenerationPool.com 9-ball champion. And also to congratulate Ronnie Wiseman on a great week here in Charlotte. It is, as a commentator, it's a thrill to have people out front that we can get to see, some for the first time on TV as we did Ronnie this week. And I know many of you are involved in the sport and have an idea of how incredibly difficult it is to get to that point, and also to be able to really perform at the level you'd like to is a very difficult thing to do. And I congratulate Ronnie on handling himself with a lot of class and showing respect to Jeremy, and right back. Jeremy, one of the great sportsmen in the game too. So congratulations to both those guys. But we are indeed here to celebrate the accomplishments of Alan and Pat. And before we get to that wonderful piece of business, I want to thank the Billiard Congress of America for putting together another great week, this time here in Charlotte, for the hard work they've done, not just this week, but throughout the year. So thank you to everybody who's with the Billiard Congress of America. And we want to thank the BCA board for allowing us to move this ceremony here between the two final matches of the GenerationPool.com 9-ball championships. It was the purpose of that move to really consolidate everything that is about this week. The Hall of Fame induction, the GenerationPool.com 9-ball championships, and of course the International Billiard and Home Recreation Expo, a very big celebration of all of billiard's business and playing. So we want to thank the BCA board for that as well. You can applaud, yes. I always have to tell you when to applaud. The purpose of the BCA Hall of Fame is to honor outstanding people who, through their competitive skills and dedication, have enriched our sport and our industry. To date, there have been 40 players inducted in the greatest player category and 11 players in the meritorious service category. And tonight we will start off by paying tribute to the previous inductees who grace us all by their presence tonight. Inducted in 1992, the Kentucky Colonel, Nick Varner. In 1994, the Cool Cat, Ray Martin. In 2001, the elegant wordsmith, Mr. Robert Byrne. In 2002, the Queen of the Hill, Lori John Jones. In 2004, and I think you'll forgive me to being partial to this particular woman, the striking Viking, Ava Mataya-Lauren. And in 2005, Tennessee Tarzan, the one, the only, Mike Massey. And of course, all the other members of the Hall of Fame, past and present, that we have been so fortunate in terms of raising the level of the game and the awareness of the game to people all over the world. When we inducted the great Sang Lee last year, at the event, it was just about a year before that this man that I'm about to introduce had taken over the reins of the BCA. And in the past year, he has taken his considerable sports background in sales, marketing, advertising, and PR, and has put them to great use at the helm of the BCA. a creative, energetic, forward-thinking guy who I think is absolutely perfect for the challenges that surround us all in these times, and does it all the time, at least when he's around me, with a smile on his face, which is a tremendous thing to do. It's the only way to get through it. So to say a few words and welcome the Chief Executive Officer of the Billiard Congress of America, Mr. Rob Johnson.
Thank you very much. Before I do anything, I want to recognize the staff of the BCA. As Mitch said, in the last year and a half, I've done my best to completely scramble everything. And that includes a brand new staff. A lot of the people with the BCA, this is their first trip to the Expo, this is their first 9-ball championships, and this is their first Hall of Fame. And it's been a lot of work for this group. So would you give the BCA staff a round of applause real quickly? Give a round of applause to the board members. I'm going to ask them to stand up in a second. The second thing you need, making change like we're trying to make, is a board that's willing to take a risk and accept change. And the board has supported me in that. The board has led me in that. And I'm going to ask any of the members of the board if they stand up now. Would you give them a round of applause? On behalf of the BCA, I'd like to congratulate Alan and Pat for your inductions. I've studied as quickly as I can, and I can tell you that you guys are both deserving of the honor. It's been a privilege to work with these two gentlemen in getting ready for tonight. They've been wonderful to work with. They've been helpful for us, and I've come to very quickly appreciate their talent, their skill, and understand why they received this award. It's also a privilege to be up here with all the Hall of Famers. To me, it's very important to recognize the past, recognize the future, recognize the present. That's what we're trying to do here tonight. So on behalf of the BCA, congratulations to the family. Great honor for all of you and the family that's here. Wonderful to have everybody here. Last thing I want to do is I want to recognize the other folks that helped make this possible, and that's the sponsors. Because we would not be here tonight for the tournament, we would not be here tonight for the Hall of Fame if we're not for the sponsors. I know Steve mentioned the sponsors earlier on GenerationPool.com on the tournament. I'd like to thank them again. And I'd also like to thank tonight's Hall of Fame sponsors, AccuStats, Brunswick Billiards, Inside Pool Magazine, Simonis, Pool and Billiard Magazine, Viking Q, and a special thank you to Sterling for everything that they've done for the Hall of Fame and for the tournament tonight. So you give them all a round of applause. Turn it back to Mitch now, but again, thank you for coming tonight. We look forward to the next match, look forward to the ceremony, look forward to a great expo. Thanks.
Thank you, Rob. As many of you know, the Hall of Fame induction process was revised prior to this year's selection. The Hall of Fame board was created to make the selection, and that board was headed by Mason King of Billiards Digest, its administrator. And I can tell you from the experience of being on the particular board that Mason did a great job of guiding everybody through a little bit of a change that has resulted in a very interesting and I think a powerful way of getting people in the industry together to vote on people who are going into the Hall. The board consisted of 52 members and included current Hall of Fame members, billiard industry promoters and historians, and members of the billiard media. It's a great representation of the various parts of the billiard world, and I would like to ask the board members who are here, who worked hard on this all year, to stand if you are here. If you're not here, tough to stand. But board members, if you are here, can you stand? In the greatest player category, board members were allowed to vote for any player who met the essential criteria for the Hall of Fame, and any player they felt were worthy of immediate induction. Under election rules, the player receiving the most votes automatically would be inducted into the Hall as the 41st member of the greatest player category, and Alan Hopkins was, in definitive fashion, that player. You can applaud as many times as you After much deliberation, Pat Fleming was named by the board's 10-member Meritorious Service Committee as its official nominee in that category, and was then approved overwhelmingly by the remaining board members to become the 12th member of the Meritorious Service category. It is interesting to me that we are doing this induction ceremony at the GenerationPool.com 9-Ball Championship, where even the name suggests the future. With the internet and digital communication all about what we're trying to do now to get the word out about the sport. But we are about here the celebration of tradition and history. Not the future of the game as we know it, but of the great accomplishments of both of these inductees into the Hall of Fame. Two men who have, for a lifetime, been truly in love with the intricacies and demands of what the sport is about, one as a player and one as a pioneering historian. Our first inductee is, in the greatest player category, Alan Hopkins, and to introduce him, I'm going to do something that I have always wanted to do, throw it to myself. Mitch? Thanks, Mitch. Okay. I'd like to begin with just a brief look back at the remarkable career of Alan Hopkins. Trish?
Number one. At the age of 10, Alan picked up his first cue and ran an amazing 10 balls. His father said he's going to be a world champion someday. At the age of 12, he ran 110 balls in straight pool, more than most will ever run in their lifetime. He won his first professional U.S. Open Straight Pool Championship at age 17 and finished in 5th place. In 1977, he won the U.S. Open 9-Ball Championship and the World Straight Pool Championship. Since then, Alan has had many more impressive accomplishments. He's won titles in all games: 9-ball, 8-ball, 10-ball, 1-pocket, and straight pool. He was voted by his peers as one of the top 3 all-around best players in the world. And he was elected president of the Men's Professional Billiards Association. He's been a pool commentator for all the national networks. He appeared in a film with Omar Sharif and James Coburn. He was named Japan's all-around Grand Master. And he keeps on winning. Alan Hopkins is truly a champion of champions.
Alan just said, "This is nice." It is easy to see the black and white of Alan's accomplishments. There are record books full of his career, which spans more than the 3 decades we've just heard about. Tournament victories in every major discipline the sport has to offer at the state, national, and international levels. More than 40 individual championship titles in straight pool, 8, 9, and 10 ball, and 1-pocket. That stuff is absolutely easy to find out. If you look in your program, you can read about Alan's beginnings in the game, how the table and the balls fascinated a youngster at the age of 8, how he pursued that connection with all the fervor a future champion needs. I mentioned Mason King before, and I was really interested to read in an interview that Mason did with Alan, that Alan said that when he was 12 or 13 years of age, he knew he was going to be one of the best players in the world, showing early on the humility and personality that would characterize his career. It is absolutely and seriously that kind of confidence bordering on cockiness that you need to have to become a champion. It's critical that you believe in yourself with everything you have. And as a player, Alan has had that in spades. From his humble beginnings in New Jersey to the world stage of the sport, Alan has proven that he possessed not just the talent and the knowledge of multiple games, but the will and the desire to beat all comers. When I was asked to introduce Alan, I believe that it was because Alan has been, to my really good fortune, for more than a decade, my broadcast partner in the booth. And he knew that over the years that I have done that with him, I got to see a side of Alan relative to the game of pool that most people don't get to see. A guy who has never lost his boyhood love for the game, who can remember details of matches both on the road and in the tournament rooms around the world that only those truly passionate people who have the kind of calling that Alan has had can remember. Many of those stories I could never tell you. But I know him. He is a man who respects the game and its players, amateur and professional alike, and who has, in the quiet moments away from all of this, revealed that above all for him it has been about the game. Along the way, he's made friends, he's made a couple of enemies, he's been controversial and outspoken, and certainly is a forward-looking promoter willing to do anything to keep the game going. All of it because of that one focused, laser-like commitment. Alan said that it was his real desire when he quite fittingly joined the BCA when he was 10 or 11 playing at high cue billiards in Elizabeth, New Jersey, because that was how you could get into the US Open, by playing in BCA-sanctioned events. It was his dream that someday he would win the US Open, that he would win the World Championship, and get into the Hall of Fame. Tonight, let us all celebrate those accomplishments. Ladies and gentlemen, the 52nd member of the Billiard Congress Hall of Fame, Alan Hopkins.
Thank you very much. I always wonder what it'd be like up here for this award. This is unbelievable. It's like, it's better than winning any tournament, I can tell you that. And I know why I wanted Mitch to talk for me, because he's the best. I've been working with him for a long time. He's the best. Well, unfortunately, some of the things I prepared, Mitch has already told you about. But I'm still going to go over my speech, as I thought about accepting this honor and what I wanted to say, I started reminiscing my last 40 years of professional pool. My father was a huge influence on my career. I was adopted, which made me feel special. When I was about 7 years old, my parents gave me a small table. Being from New Jersey, I was was the hotbed of pool activity, and I was close to New York and Pennsylvania, where a lot of these great players were from, and there was always some great action. I practiced and practiced all the time. And by the time I was 12, I had run 110 balls. And Mitch told you before, my dad sat on the stairs and he said to me, he said, son, you've got a gift from God. He said, you're going to be a world champion someday. And I did that. Throughout my whole life, playing pool was something I always wanted to do. Trying to build the sport has always been important to me as well. I have served as an ambassador for pool, winning both the 1986 and 1987 Japan World Open, and was the first American to win rotation over there. I have tried to build interest in pool by creating games and new formats, such as Q-Skill, Skins Tournament, and Texas Hold'em Billiards, and my latest tournament, the $1 Million 9-Ball Shootout. These activities have all stemmed from my love for the game and my wish to expose as many people as I can to the joy of pool. Things have changed since I started playing pool. The game years ago was straight pool. Now it's become 9-ball, which has become even more popular since pool has been covered on television, which brings me to ESPN. They have helped make the game of pool a sport, and they have helped to recognize all the great pool players today. Thank you, ESPN. I've had some of my best times traveling and playing pool, meeting new people, seeing new surroundings, and I used to look forward to going to the same tournaments year after year. Places like Columbia, South Carolina, the Rack'em Up Classic, Chicago, Illinois, U.S. Open Straight Pool, Norfolk, Virginia, the U.S. Open 9-Ball Championships, the longest running tournament today, and New York City, the World Straight Pool Championships, and most of all, BCA Open in Binghamton, New York, where I met my wife, Dawn. Being inducted into the Hall of Fame puts me in the company of many of the elite players I have spent my career competing against, getting beat by, and beating them. I would like to thank all the members who voted to give me this prestigious honor. Thank you very much. I would just like to say thank you to everybody, all the fans throughout the years, and thanks for the support of everything that goes on in pool and everything I try to do. And also to tell you that it's much tougher to be up here than it is out there in the flames. Thank you.
Opportunity to give Alan a couple of goodies. One is his official 2008 Billiard Congress of America Hall of Fame plaque. Yeah, that's you. And also an absolutely beautiful ring, which I know you'll treasure wearing. That's great. Okay. Yeah, that's all right. Afterwards, we're going to get a chance to take some pictures with Alan. But I have something that's really special. Can you take your jacket off, please? Those of you who know golf know the jackets can be sometimes very special, and fittingly, as the U.S. Open in golf is being played this week out in Torrey Pines, I know Alan's a golfer too. This jacket, I also know, means as much as any green jacket anybody ever got. It looks nice. Alan, this is what he's been doing to me in the broadcast booth, stealing my notes. He does this all the time. All right. All right, let us continue. Our second inductee tonight is Pat Fleming, and to tell you a bit about Pat's contributions that have made him so worthy of induction, I want to bring up a man who for almost 2 decades has been heavily involved in the promotion of the sport of pool in a wide variety of ways. Advertising, promotion, publicity, photography, producing championship events for TV. His imagery has been seen in many places around the world. A man with an accent that I would kill to have. Ladies and gentlemen, David Thomson.
Hey! I'm going to take a breath. This is great to be here. Congratulations, Al. And thanks, Mitch, because Mitch and I had the pleasure of doing an ESPN thing a couple of years ago, actually a year and a half ago. And it was great to work with Mitch. But I have to say, everything I learned about doing that production, I learned that. I mean, don't lose the cue ball. That's the trick. That's the trick. That's all I know. But basically, it's a pleasure. And it's 20 years, Pat and I go way, way back there. And we're still talking. It's amazing. It's amazing. And anyway, much as we want to celebrate this man for his service to the sport, we're going to show a quick video which will celebrate that we're honoring tonight a man of action. So if you want to let's go. Wait, excuse me. This is Pat, the first generation Scot. This is Pat, the first generation Scot. That was his pool playing face. I think he got that real early. This is when he went to the pool room approximately at the age of somewhere around 15. A year later, 2 years later, he was running 120 balls against Lee Martin. Then he became the tournament man of all time. He directed tournaments for many years, became president of the MPBA. Then we get into action. Just by picking up a diving drop, I told you he was Scottish.
He's Tyler. He's ready to go. No hesitation, not even waiting for... Oh, what form! Patrick! Man, he's a spinner. Good job, Patrick.
That was a little bit of the action. This is what he really wants to do. Look at this guy. Look at this. This man is crazy. Oh yeah, show off. He's getting ready for a 250-mile race. But anyway, the next thing is, this is where all staff for stats in a hotel room, tabulating scores, and now he's looking at this booth. And this is only half the equipment he has now. This picture's about 6 years old. And waiting behind every great man is a great woman, as the cliche says, and there she is. Lovely 40 years married to Diane. Where are you, Diane? Where are you, Diane? Pat's brother drove in from, or flew down from New Jersey too. Pete's still here, and he was the first one to take him into a pool room, so it's all his fault. That's what I can say. But anyway, it's really amazing. It's almost 20 years ago that Pat Fleming placed that handycam above the pool table. His purpose was to document, as you probably know by now, the AccuStats total point average, a system where a player can detect his misses, his hits, and so on, and we know how well he's playing, and we can also see his improvement. So some guy walked up and said, "Hey, can I get a copy of that match?" And the light bulb went on, and AccuStats Videos Productions was born. Thousands of tapes later, Pat's penchant for perfection is undaunted, as he constantly strives to improve the AccuStats product. He keeps current with the ever-changing whims of technology. Today, AccuStats video productions are not only available on DVD, they are uploaded, downloaded, pirated, bootlegged, YouTube, pay-per-view, and broadcast to millions of households, reminding the world that pool is cool. AccuStats video productions ingenuity has sped pool's learning process as professional players share instructional commentary with thousands of AccuStats subscribers. Pros learn too, as the AccuStats total point average system reveals their strengths and their weaknesses. Pat's soft-spoken demeanor and broad sense of humor, believe me, I can tell you some jokes later. Especially about himself. I'll see if that's what's one of it. It has a genuine calming effect on people around him. be around him in a crisis, which is daily. This is his TV after all. And he will soon be part of the solution. The fact that he's kept such a tight crew together, Julian over there, his product man, his production manager, excuse me. Oh, these are all pool players. Can you imagine keeping a team of pool players together for this long? Let's be honest, it speaks volumes about his ability to communicate and his fairness in dealing with others. Now where am I going to go from here? Akistat's Video Productions is an industry leader in a sport increasing in international popularity. As Pat Fleming sits quietly and conscientiously getting the job done. Well, let's face it, folks, that's only half of it. Pat has documented almost 25 years of pool. And Akistat's library is a treasure trove that has immortalized the legends of our sport, some of whom are seated right here. And tomorrow's legends are sitting right out there and are going to play in a minute on this table. As host and commentator Danny DiLiberto said, play pool well and you'll be remembered for it today. Play pool on an Akistat's DVD and you'll be remembered forever. That's meritorious service, all right, but not only to our $1 billion, I believe it is now, industry, but to our sport and to our champions too. So it's with that grateful honor that I present to you the 2008 inductee for meritorious service, my pal, Pool's Guru, Pat Fleming.
This is going to be tough. Thank you, David. I do want to mention one thing. He mentioned that I ran 120 balls against Ray Martin, which is true, when I was about 17 years old. And then Ray invited me to his house. And I went to his house, and he ran 125 balls against me. So. And I had my share wins over the years, but the people you see up here, they won their award for a very good reason, because they're the best players in the world. And I made my contribution, but they are certainly the best players in the world. First, let me congratulate Alan Hopkins for his long-deserved induction. We grew up in New Jersey together, and we played each other. And he never failed to amaze me at his ability to be so skillful in all the cue games. And he's truly one of the greatest all-time pool players of all time. Few people usually remember the fellow who finished in second place, but I'd also like to acknowledge Danny DiLiberto, who's been an asset to pool for over 50 years. I'm grateful and humbled at receiving this award, and Jerry Forsythe, thank you for nominating me. I know there were many that were considered, and I was flattered just being among them. It's frankly an award I never considered getting, but it's really cool. Listen to this. I didn't have to campaign. I didn't have to tell anybody I wanted it. And now that I'm inducted, I don't have to do anything. Can't beat that. Jerry Bryce called me to congratulate me a little while back, and as I told Jerry, sometimes these awards aren't always given in the exact same order that we all think they should be in. But of course, I'm grateful that I got it now, and more grateful that it was given to me, well, that it wasn't given to me posthumously. And to be quite frank, I can't take much credit for this award because other people made it happen. Considering how special the Hall of Fame is, I created my own Hall of Fame of family, friends, and those that were involved in solid contributions and sacrifices. First of all, if it weren't for my wife of 40 years, Working hard, juggling jobs, children, and me, none of this could have happened. Over 25 years ago, a friend of mine, Jimmy Fredericks, approached me about fulfilling my dreams. I quit my secure job, pursued this idea of promoting statistics on a full-time basis. Not once did Diane say anything like, "You want to do what for a living?" Or, "Patrick, are you nuts?" My dad was my biggest supporter. He passed away recently, but we still talk every day. And I know he would have been proud. My brother Pete is as much a part of AccuStats as anyone. He came up with the name AccuStats. He's been through all the trials and tribulations that I've been through. He was there in the beginning when AccuStats was just an idea. And he's been there for me ever since. Thank you. In the early 1980s, before AccuStats became a video production company, we kept statistics on players. And the WPBA was the first organization, thank you ladies, that let AccuStats use their event as testing ground. And shortly thereafter, Barry Berman of U.S. Open 9-ball fame embraced us. Thank you, Barry. Now, although the statistics were very popular with the players and the promoters and even trade magazines, there just wasn't enough to sustain itself. Later, when we started recording matches, we were just trying to scratch out a living. Actually, not much different than I'm doing right now. But on the road, it was a one-man operation. Set up, tear down, duplicate, and try and sell some videos. Eventually, a player most of us know, Bill Incardona, approached me and said, "Why don't you have some commentary on these matches? It'd make it more entertaining and instructional." I wasn't much of a videographer then, so I said, "Well, I don't know." Needless to say, Bill Incardona was right, and his commentary changed the direction of AccuStats forever. How can you hear the names Billy and Grady without thinking of AccuStats? After a while, someone who helped me out for quite often was Rick Bowley, and he said, "You know, you're only using one camera. Why don't you get another camera? Hell, I'll be the cameraman, and I'll follow all the players just like television." I said, "Rick, you don't know which way a camera works." Well, he was right too. So I said to him, "Gee, I don't know. I've never done this before. I don't know how to do it." But he was right, and again, AccuStats was changed forever. And so that's the way things went on ever since. Bill Weenie Beanie Staten, rest his soul, helped AccuStats in the commentary booth many times. And what a gentleman he was. He kept telling me to get a telescript, those things that you write on a screen so that the viewers can tell what's happening at the pool table. Well, I said, "Gee, I don't know." Needless to say, that's been with us ever since. Robert Byrne introduced us to three-cushion billiards, and that was wonderful. Thank you, Robert. Grady Matthews introduced us to one pocket. A few years later, Rob Sikora wanted to co-produce some events and put our stuff on cable television. I said, "Well, I don't know." Well, we did make a deal. We invested in a jig, which is that long arm mount for a camera that you saw this week. Remote control cameras that suspend from trussing that we bought, lighting, and now AccuStats is seen on cable stations all over the world for millions of viewers. Now, the requirement for working for AccuStats seems to have been, if you could, you'd do it for nothing. And that's especially true for the AccuStats crew. My friend Julian Robertson, he manages AccuStats on the road, and he came right out of the pool room. In fact, our entire video production staff came out of a pool room. But it's rewarding being around the sport you love and the people that you can identify with and suffer with. We don't know how hard it is to make a living working pool tournaments. Most of us can make a lot more money elsewhere, but sometimes money just isn't the bottom line. And last but not least, there are people who supported us just to be a part of us. Several of them you may know. Mark Wilson and David Maddox were quite special. These guys did everything. They kept statistics, operated cameras, did commentary, graphics, did anything, and for that I'm grateful. Mark's working this week with ESPN, and David is now weatherman for the Weather Channel. There are many others that I didn't mention, but I did not forget you. If any of you, I'm sorry. As I said, there are many others that I didn't mention, but I didn't forget. But if I continue much longer, someone's going to drag me off the podium. So I do have to stop. So in closing, if any of you approach me and make a suggestion for a project or a suggestion for an improvement, and I say, well, I don't know, the chances are that it's a damn good idea. Thank you.
Class ring of 2008.
Thank you, everybody. I love it. Thank you.
Congratulations again to Alan and to Pat. We really appreciate everybody going through this induction ceremony with us. We hope you have enjoyed this part of the evening between two great matchups. I have the privilege of working not only with the men's events, but being out on tour with the WPBA during their season. I can tell you, for those of you who have not seen the two women play that you're about to watch right now, you are in for a treat. So give us a few minutes to get everything set up. Those who want some pictures with Pat and Alan, they'll be happy to do that right now. And let us find out who is about to be the GenerationPool.com 9-ball women's champion, Ga-Yeon Kim or Xiao Ting Pan. Thank you, everybody, for taking part in this.